the women have gotten kind of lax in what they're requiring, and therefore the men are capitalizing on that. But then that man takes that and he tries to um, handle every female in that same way, but every female is not going to accept that.
Yeah! This is DJ Kevy Kev. For all my BBW that's out there looking fly and know you're looking fly, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to give them a big yeah! For all my fellas out there that's rocking the SBBW, I want you to stand up and say yeah! Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the BBW Network podcast. I am your host, DJ Kevy Kev. I like to say what's up to all my BBWs out there and all the guys that love and support our BBWs. I also like to give a shout out to the BBW Network Facebook group. If you hadn't joined, please go do so right now. Kimorie?
Kimorie.
Kimorie. All right, how you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay. Look, I know you some beating around the bush. I posted a topic on Facebook the other day, and the topic was, should a woman expect the fact that men don't want to take them out on dates anymore, and men only want hookups with no long-term expectations? And I said that, why would a man want to take a woman out on a date when he has 6 or 7 other women that would take him out on a date? So why would he even want to waste his time taking a woman on a date? And what you say to that?
Well, first of all, I don't think that most men don't want to take women on dates. I think that it's a particular man, probably with a lower level of maturity, and this is my own opinion, but I think that these guys that are running around saying that they're men are wanting to be accepted and respected as a man, they're not fulfilling the role of a man, and they're not portraying grown man behaviors, because in my own opinion, a man that has a higher level of maturity and he's going to pursue a woman, he will want to take her out on dates, because he'll know that that's just part of the dating tradition or the dating rituals. Each person involved, can be either on the giving end of a date or paying, or on the receiving end or whatever, but I think it's false to say that most men don't want to. And I also think that it all depends on what the woman wants for herself, what her goals are. Because nowadays, women are more sexually liberated, and she may not want a commitment, or she may not want a long-term situation. So if she meets somebody that just wants to have an encounter, that may be all that she is requiring at the time, and she may be okay with that. But for the woman who is looking for something long term and has a goal with dating, no, she shouldn't expect that, nor should she accept it.
Then why do women complain so much about guys don't want to take them out on dates? There's no more chivalry and all that, because that's what I get the most. Get the most. And you know what?
I agree that.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that I agree that in my own personal experience, for the most part, you do tend to encounter more guys, or you have more frequent encounters of meeting guys that don't want to meet those traditional standards. But I think, too, that part of that fault is on, I'm going to say, a woman of a lower level of maturity, or even maybe a lower level of self-esteem and confidence, where she doesn't feel she can require that of a man. So you have a lot of females now running around portraying themselves as grown women when they're really not, because they don't possess the maturity level or the confidence or self-esteem to require a man to meet certain standards and expectations. So the women have gotten kind of lax in what they're requiring, and therefore the men are capitalizing on that. But then that man takes that and he tries to handle every female in that same way, but every female is not going to accept that.
You know, I can see where you're coming from, but you know, it just, the reason why I posted this question, because that's everywhere you look and everywhere you turn, it's, you know, why. And I tell you, the biggest place is when you go on online dating. You probably wouldn't know because you're not a man and you're not looking at the women. All right. But if you look at the women profile, it's all, I'm not this. I don't accept that. I don't settle for this. No hookups. It's almost like that's pretty much what I'm expecting to get when I go online dating.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well,
and that's what make me think.
Sorry.
That's what make me think that, you know, it's a problem. I mean, and I think also the biggest problem is internet has really screwed up relationships and marriages, period. And the reason why I say that is because why do I wanna stay with somebody when I got access to thousands of other women, hundreds of other women?
Okay.
So why?
Okay.
Go ahead.
To address the first part of what you said about the online dating and how women set up their profiles, I believe that women set their profiles up like that because they have encountered that more frequently. A man who comes in and he represents himself to be one way, and then as it progresses, then he turns out to have misrepresented himself. So after so many frequent experiences like that, a woman feels the need to just come straight off the top to say, hey, this is what it is, this is what it is, this is what it is, this is what I expect. And the reason that we do that is because we hope that by setting that up, we hope that by setting the profile up like that if any guy sees that and he's not sincere or he can't meet those expectations, we're hoping that he will pass us by. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen because it's almost posing a challenge to him.
Exactly.
To say, well,
exactly.
She's expecting all of this, so let me see if I can break all that down.
Exactly. I was just about to say that.
Get her to, right, and still get her to do what I want her to do anyway, or whatever. But we really do set it up because we set it up like that, honestly, out of frustration. And we're trying to say, we're basically trying to say in so many words, hey, I'm tired of meeting this type of guy. I'm tired of repeating the same experience. If this is what you're going to come to me and do, please pass me up. I mean, you know, that's like straight to the point, bottom line. We set it up as, you know, like you said, all of those credentials and standards. But the bottom line of it is, hey, I'm tired of having this same repeat experience. And if you can't give me something different, please pass me up. But like I said, unfortunately, it doesn't work because a lot of guys see it as a challenge to still manipulate, you know, what you say you want, or to see if you're going to stand firm on what you say that you want. The second part of what you just said on the end about the internet and the online relationships or whatever. Personally, I feel like the internet is pretty much an inanimate object until you get a certain person on the other side of the screen manipulating the buttons. The same way, and I say that the same way as I feel like a gun is an inanimate object and it doesn't kill a person. It's whoever is holding that gun and what they decide to do with it. So I'm not one to hold the internet accountable for a failed relationship or a failed marriage because the internet can only do what you manipulate it to do.
Yeah,
so
but
if you're using it and you're using it to access other available prospects outside of your relationship and your marriage, well, you're doing it yourself. The internet is not saying, hey, so-and-so, here's somebody, you know, come and look at this somebody. And even if it does have pop-ups like that,
Uh-huh.
It's still about your integrity and your character and the level of respect that you place and the value that you place on your relationship or your marriage, because you don't have to do everything that you can simply because you can.
That's true. But the internet, I can't solely place it on the person either, because that's just like, hey man, if I have and I hate to use this reference, but if I have a bunch of drugs and I have a community and I just say, well, you know what, I'm just gonna sit this here on the table and basically say, you know what, if anybody get on drugs, it's their fault. Yeah, it's their fault, but it's also my fault for even providing it. But I say that to say this. The internet is just, because before you had the internet, the only access you had to people, or if you was a guy that was going to cheat on his woman, then you had to cheat on her in the city that you were in, or maybe the next city over. But now with the access and availability that you have, you don't even have to go over there and approach her face to face. You don't have to meet them at the gas station, Walmart, or nothing like that. You just go online and you have access to almost everybody around the entire city and all the surrounding cities and all over the world. So what that does is it gives you more temptation. No, nobody put a gun to your head and tell you to send a private message to somebody or try to hit on somebody online. But it do provide you with the necessary tools in order for you to do that, and which is inviting more temptation. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, and on the other side of that is our daily life is nothing but struggle to deny ourselves of certain desires and temptations.
That's true.
I mean, a woman going shop in the mall may be tempted by what she sees in the window. It's still ultimately her choice as if she's going to buy that or not. She knows her financial situation. She knows that if she goes and buys that outfit, then now she's having to get an extension on the lights or whatever because she overspent on her budget for that month. But just because it's there doesn't mean that you have to do it. Just like your scenario with the drugs. You can sit the drugs there and make it accessible. However, if you don't snort cocaine and you see cocaine on the table, are you going to snort it? If you don't shoot heroin and you see a syringe with heroin in it on the table, are you going to shoot that in your veins?
Hey, wait.
I don't care how long
it's been a lot of people that didn't do drugs, but they was around it for a long period of time and they ended up doing it.
No, okay, but that's not what you said. I'm responding to specifically what you said.
Okay,
you said I can sit
Go ahead, finish.
You said I can sit. You said I can sit the drugs there, and it's gonna tempt the people, and so it works. You're saying it works both ways because whoever set the drugs there made them accessible.
Yeah.
But on the other side of that, I'm saying if you're not a drug user, and you're sitting by a table that has cocaine on it, if you don't snort cocaine, you're not gonna snort that cocaine. If you don't shoot heroin, you're not going to touch that syringe. If you don't smoke marijuana, I mean, it's not even going to bother you because that's not even something that you're looking to do. That's something that you've decided within yourself, I don't participate in that. And I don't care how long it sits there to tempt you. If you don't do that, you're not going to do that. And it's the same way with having the bigger player field or the broader player playing field with, the accessibility to other people and other relationships or whatever. But if that is something within yourself that you have committed to and decided that you're not going to do that, I don't care how much you're tempted, you will not participate.
No.
The same.
I disagree.
Okay, let me say this.
Finish.
On the other side of the scenario. Let me say this real quick. Because I've had conversations with people saying, what would make a person cheat, or what would make a person not cheat, or what if people were not happy in a relationship and one goes out and cheats? Could they say that the other one played a part in them cheating or was the cause of them cheating? I don't agree with that because if you're not a cheater, it doesn't matter how bad the situation gets, you will not cheat. And if you are a cheater, I don't care how good the situation is, you will still go cheat with reason or with no reason at all. Because at the end of the day, it all comes down to accountability and holding oneself accountable for one's own choices and actions. Nobody can make anybody do anything. I don't care how long they tempt you, so on and so forth. If somebody tell you, hey, they have poison at the end of this, if you drink it, you might die, but if you don't die, I'll give you, $500,000 or whatever. I mean, that's temptation out of this world, because you, on one hand, you have a 50% chance of surviving, and you know that if you do survive, you're gonna have $500,000. So now that's a strong temptation. Some people are gonna do it, some people are not, because they're like, I don't care how much gold it is at the end of the rainbow, I'm not gonna risk dying to try to get it. So it all just comes down to the accountability of one's own decisions and one's own choices. And I find that people really have an issue these days with being honest about that and being critical of themselves. Every now and again, everybody needs to sit in front of a mirror and critique themselves just as much as they critique other people. And they need to call themselves out on their own BS, and they need to hold themselves accountable. Everybody is too busy looking for an excuse and a justification, and I'm not buying it.
Well, I'm going to say this. There's an unlimited amount of temptation that life can throw at you. I don't care who you are. Nobody is bigger than temptation. The only thing that you can do is get yourself away from stuff that you are tempted to that's going to cause you to go against what you're trying to do, whatever that may be. You're not nobody, because entire nations have been brought to the ground because of temptation. Temptation been around forever. It's an unlimited amount. So let's put this in if you got a guy, and you and him in a relationship, and he's always playing on social media, he's always playing on his phone. Eventually, if he do that enough, eventually he's gonna stroll by some female that looks better than you, that in his mind could possibly be better than you, and he's gonna make up this whole fantasy, and that's where the temptations start. Now, I'm not saying everybody will do that, but when you put that in front of a person, or when they have that availability to them, then most likely, eventually, you will succumb to temptation. Eventually, you can't tempt temptation, because it's gonna win.
No, I'll agree to that, because number one, I agree. If you walk past the window enough times, eventually you're going to go in the store and buy something.
Exactly.
I agree with that. But listen, you always know what's tempting you.
True.
You always know what your temptation is.
I agree.
And you answered the question when you first started speaking. You said the only way to get away from it is to turn away from it, to stop doing it. So if you know that it's tempting you, why would you then elevate and increase your own level of temptation? Why would you test yourself on something that you already know is tempting you? You know why? Because you really want to do it anyway. So you're going to increase the stimulation to give you that fallout reason that you need to go ahead and say, oh, I slipped and fell up and did it. Because if you know you don't have no business going in that store and buying nothing, why do you keep walking by the store looking at the stuff? Because you're trying to give yourself that way out to go ahead and slip up in there and do it. So you're still in control the whole time, because you know what your temptation is. And like you said, all you have to do is turn away from it and stop doing it. So it still comes back to your own accountability.
Yeah, and so to speak, I think we kind of on the same page, but a little bit off. But if the store wasn't there for you to be window shopping now, you wouldn't have to worry about that, would you?
But that's why industry.
That's the same thing as the internet. If the internet wasn't there, you wouldn't be
what about self-preservation?
Well, you have to have self-preservation. I'll agree with you that. I mean, you can't just walk around in a box or live in a right. You have to, but that's the reason. Everybody has that temptation there at their disposal, and there you go. That's why stuff start getting messed up. Exactly. Because
everybody.
Go ahead.
Everybody is gonna have something that they like. Everybody's gonna see something that floats their boat, and everybody knows what gets them to that point. Everybody knows this. But if you know that you have something to risk by doing this, why would you purposely tempt yourself and put yourself in a situation to be bombarded with all of that stimulation unless you're trying to create the scenario for it to come to fruition? You're still controlling it. You're still doing it.
I agree with you on that. I agree. I agree that in order to defeat temptation, you can't compete with temptation. You have to find a way to not put yourself in that situation. But
absolutely.
The only problem,
and it's not all men. Okay, go ahead.
No. You finish.
No, I was just gonna say, and it's not all men. I don't want to make it like it's all men, because women we get out of the box too. But it's just like being a female. If I'm in a relationship and I'm having issues with my guy, or I feel like he hasn't been paying me enough attention, or I'm feeling some kind of way and I need a little extra, little cheerleader or whatever to make me feel good or whatever, but I'm not getting that from him. And so let's say I go to a particular, Starbucks or something. Let's just say Starbucks to get coffee every morning. And there's a guy in there making coffee. And every day that I go in there, he takes the time away from the other customers, or he lets somebody else get the other customers, and he kind of comes chill and hang out in the corner with me, and he's giving me that little extra time and that little extra attention, and he's making me laugh, or he's giving me that compliment that I'm so thirsty for at the moment, and he's doing all of that. Okay, I'm getting fulfillment from that, and when I know that he's going to be there, and I go there, and I'm seeking that, and I'm seeking that fulfillment, I'm purposely putting myself in a position for him to fulfill me, because I know he's going to be there to do it. So, is he wrong for being there doing it, or am I wrong? Or am I wrong for knowing what I have to lose, what I'm risking, but I keep going to sit myself right back there in his face?
Well, it's gonna be on you.
It's okay,
but he's
so
not.
That's the same thing.
But look, to see what you missed. This is the point. This is the part that you're missing. See, you cannot be around him or whatever. But the internet, most people spend most of their whole life online, so you're gonna be around it all the time. What you gonna what you gonna get off Facebook, or you gonna get off Instagram? Or you gonna shut your whole entire social media down?
Well, that's the thing about people. Right now, our biggest attention grabber is social media.
Exactly.
But it wasn't always there.
No,
so
it wasn't.
Guess what? It may not be. We may not have had as much stimulation. But I'll tell you what about a human being. Whenever there's a void that needs to be filled, where there is a will, there is a way. And whether the internet made it accessible or not, if somebody needs fulfillment and they're seeking fulfillment, they're going to find that, whether they do it through the internet or not. So that's why we cannot blame the internet for making the access there, because even if the internet wasn't there, we would find the access ourselves. We're gonna find our own fulfillment.
Yeah, I can go with that, because my grandfather and them didn't have no internet, and they was doing all kind of crazy stuff. So
right, we're gonna find a way to make it happen.
But it's a lot of access to people. Now you gotta say that it's a lot of access to people.
Oh no, it is. It definitely is. Like I said, people thought that the internet or these dating sites would match them or put them in proximity with people who were like looking for what they were looking for. But for the people that only wanted to use it as a game, just like I said, it only broadened the playing field for more players, to put more players on it. That's all it is.
Yeah, but to go back to this, okay, now so if we to take this out of the context of somebody cheating on somebody, let's put it in this context. And this is what I said before. Why would I take you out on a date when I got 6 or 7 other women that's trying to take me out on a date? And that's mainly because of the internet. Is that you have so many options. So why am I going to do that when I have all those options? And I think that's where the internet also plays a big part too. It's like,
okay, if you go to the mall, you may meet throughout your walk through that mall, however long you're in there, you could possibly see 4 or 5 females that you happen to speak to and exchange numbers with. You can leave the mall and say, hey, I need to stop at the grocery store. I want to, put something on the grill when I get home or whatever. And while you're in the grocery store, you might see 2 more females, that you decide to speak to and exchange numbers with. After you leave the grocery store, you might say, hey, I'm going to put some gas in my car before I go home because I don't want to have to get up and do it in the morning before work. And you might see one lady out at the gas station and y'all talk and exchange numbers. Okay, so within you going from the time you went to the mall to the grocery store to the gas station, let's just say that's about maybe 8 women, somewhere between 6 and 8 women. So you didn't need the internet to accomplish that.
No, that's not the same. That's not the same. That's not the same. No. Because I can talk to 20 women by the time.
But let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
But let me finish. Just let me finish. You keep throwing the internet in there as if the internet is somehow influencing your choices.
It do.
When the same other 6 options or 8 options that you had to this one woman who was waiting for you to take her out versus the other 8 women that were willing to take you out, you still have the access to those same other 8 options without the internet. It still all comes down to you
because
and what you're looking for.
Because if those 8 women don't work out, I just scrap them and get 8 more in another couple of days. It's not the same. It's the same. It's basically the same, but it's like accelerated. It's like you talking in a way that you shooting film with
why
the
it's accelerated?
Go ahead.
Why? It's accelerated because the women on the internet are basically at your fingertips.
Exactly.
The other 8 women in the world, you have to put forth a little effort to meet them.
Exactly.
But it's still not. But you still can achieve the same goal.
Yeah. No, but most likely you won't. You can, but most likely you're not gonna be meeting that many people that quickly. Even if you go out to the club every single week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, you're probably not gonna do. The internet just gives you too much access to people for you to be whoever you want. You can make.
So you think that's? Did you hear what you said? Say it again.
What part?
Say it again. The internet does what? It allows you to be.
Oh yeah, you can create. Hey, look. I'll tell you this.
You want to be.
I'll say this: the internet is a place. Social media is a place for a person to create a world, sell it back to themselves, and then go sell it to you. That's what the internet is. That's what social media. They can create whatever world they want to create, whatever thing they want to create about themselves. They can then sell it to themselves and then sell it back to you. Matter of fact, if you tell somebody, you can know a person and know that that's not what they are. And even if you tell them like, man, that ain't really what you about. They will get mad at you because they have then believed that the world they've created online is really true.
Right. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
But finish saying what you're saying.
The only thing that I'm saying is that, like you said, you can be whoever you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do. You can create whatever space you want to create and live in that space and sell it to other people. But at the end of the day, it still comes down to the choices that you're making and how you want to use whatever services are provided to you or what's at your fingertips. You still making the choices on how you want to engage in those services. As far as why should a woman, what did you say? Why should a woman expect you to take her on a date when you have 6 other women that are willing to take you on a date?
Yes.
Well, it comes down to your choice. What are you pursuing that woman for? Are you pursuing that woman? If you're just looking for a good time and you know that that's not what that woman is about, then why waste her time? If you have other women that want to do the hookup thing or whatever, I mean, that's fine. Play with them to each their own, because like they say, there's somebody for everybody. So whatever game that you're playing or whatever game that you're into, there's somebody on the other side that's willing to play with you with that. So it still comes down to the one woman still should not expect or accept that you don't want to take her out on a date because she knows what she wants for herself. Just because you want something different doesn't mean she should lower her expectations.
And I definitely agree. Now, I'm not saying this concept is something that I believe in, but from what I see, because I'll tell anybody, you're not meant to be with a whole bunch of people. You meant to find that one person, and y'all supposed to connect like human beings are supposed to connect. And dating a whole lot of people, all you're gonna end up doing is going in a carousel, and you're gonna end up right back in the same place that you started in, and it's not gonna you're not really gonna grow from that. But I'm gonna give you the last word. Anything you want to say? Okay.
Last word. I do agree with what you said about nowadays. There's really no initiative for a man to take one woman serious or to put forth effort to wine and dine one woman, because there are so many more options that are easily accessible. So there truly is no initiative for him to, let's say, be right for somebody or want to settle down and commit to one person when there's so many other people out there vying for his attention. And last word, it just all comes down to his character and his integrity and the type of man that he wants to be for whichever woman he encounters.
There you have it, folks. That was the last words. I'm not going to add, nor am I going to take away. I think we done beat this dead horse long enough. I'd like to thank our special guest, Miss Kimorie, for joining us on the show. I would like for you to subscribe and share this podcast. I would also like for you to go to the BBW Network Plus Facebook group and hit us up over there. Also check us out on Instagram. Until next time, fam, be happy.